In this video, we will see how the Layer Manager is useful in the 3ds Max workflow. Using the Layer Manager allows you to better organize your scenes by allowing you to place different objects into different layers. The Layer Manager allows you to hide and freeze your objects and other useful tools to manage your scene better. In this Max file, I'm going to open the Layer Manager by going to the main toolbar. The Layer Manager is here in the main toolbar, and it opens up the Layer Manager dialog box. To add something to the Layer Manager, the best way to do that is to have it selected. So I'm going to click and drag around the lamp. I'm using this has the window. I'm going to change that back to crossing. And there you can see all the objects are selected. In the Layer Manager, I'm going to click this button here. This is Create New Layer containing selected objects. So it will add those objects into the new layer. By default, it gives us a general Layer 001 name. I'm going to click here and name it Lamp. Now in that layer, I click on the little plus sign to the left of the name, and it gives me all the objects that are a part of that lamp. In order for me to see that it's working properly, I'm going to hide that layer. Hiding the layer is in this column here, and I can hide individual objects within that layer. I'm going to go here to the perspective view. Let's get a better view. Make it bigger, Alt W. There we go. So I can hide certain objects, like let's hide the lampshade. Click on it. Or if I go to the actual layer and click hide, it will hide the whole object. Freezing an object can be very handy too. That means you'll see it in the viewport, but it won't be selectable. It turns gray to represent that it is frozen. Now let's create another layer. I'm going to select the clock. Now, create new layer, clock. Now you'll notice this checkbox here. That tells me that that's the active layer. If I create anything new in my scene, it will be dropped into the layer that has this checkbox next to it. When I know I'm going to be creating new objects or merging in new objects into my scene, I make sure and check the box next to the layer I want that object to be in. Now I noticed that when I created that layer, I actually added this table to that layer. If I don't want that table in the layer, I can select the table, move to the layer I want it to be in, which I'm going to put it in this default layer, highlight it, go up to the plus sign, and click. That will take that from the clock layer and put it into the default layer. Just so you can see that that worked, I'm going to hide the clock. You can see by hiding the clock, the table is still visible. If I hide the default layer, which everything in the scene that's remaining is in there. If I want to delete a layer, I can just select the layer. If I go up to the X here, that's delete. You'll notice that it's grayed out. It won't allow me to delete a layer with objects still into it. I actually have to empty the objects out. So if I select the clock, this button here allows me to highlight objects. And just like we did with the table, select the layer you want to put those objects in. I'm going to put them in the default. Click on the plus sign. Now the clock is empty, and I know that because there's no plus sign next to it now. I can highlight that layer and delete. This is the Layer Manager. In this lesson, we learned when and how to use the Layer Manager to better organize and manipulate your scene. We learned how to create and delete layers, as well as how to place objects into and remove objects from layers. We also saw how to freeze, hide, and unhide objects, and how that could be useful to your workflow.